Hey there, it's Crystal Lopez here from crystalandcomp.com, and today I'm going to show you how to take pantry ingredients and make a delicious dinner. We are going to make Indian fry bread tacos. I have wanted to try this for probably over a decade, but I was scared to do it. It seemed so hard, and I'm going to tell you and show you who inspired me on YouTube to finally give this a try. Her recipe was perfect. We are also going to make as much from scratch as possible. So to go with these tacos, I'm going to make a pot of charro beans using dry pinto beans that are in my pantry. We're going to cook those in the Instant Pot. We're going to use a rotisserie chicken to add in some extra protein, and we're going to take it and turn it all into a dinner that looks like this. How delicious is it? It was so easy, guys. I can't wait to tell you and show you all the details. All right, so let's start by putting our dry beans on in the Instant Pot. The Instant Pot really is the easiest way to cook them. I did probably 2 pounds worth. I'm feeding 7 people. We have 5 of our 9 kids who still live at home, plus myself and my husband. We're going to rinse them and wash them. This is a no soak method, which is okay. If you want to soak them, you can totally do that as well. They will cook a little quicker and get a little cleaner. So we're going to rinse them off, and we're going to look for rocks and things like that just to make sure nothing like that is in our beans. And then we're going to put them on in the Instant Pot. I am also going to I'm making more of a charro bean. So I'm also going to use some frozen chicken broth that I have in the freezer that I made a month ago or so using a leftover rotisserie chicken. Don't forget, use up your leftover, what's left of your rotisserie chicken after you feed your family. Take that and turn it into chicken broth. Chicken broth is expensive. This is a great way to save money there. So, who inspired me to make this recipe? I am so glad that you asked. A couple of weeks ago, her video popped up in my feed, Southern Frugal Momma, who really has nailed down how to cook for so inexpensively. And it was, where's the recipe? Where is it? It is, I believe she was doing a collab with her aunt and her niece, I think. But it was right there, dirt cheap recipe ideas to make when you are broke. And so I was watching it, and she made it look so easy how to make this fry bread. I was amazed. And I thought, I can do this. I have everything to do it. I can do it. And I had beans on hand so that I could make, she did hers, she topped hers with a bean mixture, but I wanted to make like a taco, an all-out taco with lettuce and all of that on top. And this recipe was spot on. It was so good. So make sure that you hop over and check out her recipe. I'll leave a link to her video down below. So for my beans, I am adding a couple of bay leaves, some cumin, and salt. You want to make sure that your beans are well salted. I added in a couple of cubes of the frozen homemade chicken broth blocks, which are about a cup a piece. I think I added 2 in there. You're going to see them floating around in there. Now, I could have also added in some like Rotel tomatoes. That would really make it more like charro beans. This is just a mock version. Use what you have, okay? Just use what you have. This does not have to be perfect. Use what's in your fridge, freezer, pantry, what have you. So for the beans, I just put them on high pressure for 45 to 50 minutes, and it's plenty of time. So believe it or not, now it's going to take time for it to rise to pressure, whatnot, but it'll cook. They will cook and be really good in that amount of time. All right. So we're going to gather up our ingredients to make this Indian fry bread. I'm going to double her recipe. I buy flour in bulk in 25-pound bags at Sam's. It is time to buy more. I'm at the very bottom of this bucket. Do make sure that if you're doing that, you're storing it in a food grade bucket. I ordered those buckets online, and then I got the Gamma lids, which are really good for sealing tightly. I got those lids. Maybe I got the lids online and the buckets at Home Depot, I think. Anyway, here's what we're going to do. So for doubling, you're going to do 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of milk, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This made enough for my big family. So if you want to, her version of the recipe is half of that. So hers is 1 cup of all-purpose flour, half a cup of milk, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. You can use bread flour And I believe if you use bread flour, you don't use baking powder, because I think that's what makes it bread flour, is that it has the baking powder in it. All right, we're gonna get this going. We're gonna mix it all up in a bowl, and then I'm just gonna use my countertop to roll this out like she did. And I actually looked up a couple of other recipes online, and some of them involved letting the fry bread dough sit for a period of time. I didn't want to do that. I really liked the simplicity of her version of this recipe, and so that's what we're going to do. All right, I just looked it up. Bread flour contains more protein, 12 to 14% more than all-purpose flour, which has 9 to 12%, which leads to a higher gluten content. So I was wrong. It appears that it has nothing to do with. Um, I thought I had read that bread flour had baking powder added to it, but I am wrong. It has to do with the protein levels and how it changes the gluten. So there you go. All right. Sorry about that. I guess I could go back and edit it all, but I don't want to. I'm just going to explain it to you, okay? All right, so we have mixed all of that up, and now we're going to get enough flour on the countertop so that this doesn't stick and it's easy to roll and all of that. And it's good that we got our beans going first, because it's going to take them some time in that Instant Pot, and while they are cooking, we are making all this, and then we're going to go through the frying process and all of that. So those beans are cooking while we're going. If you have a can of pinto beans or a can of refried beans in your pantry, use that. That's an option as well. Don't feel like you have to make the beans from scratch. The reason that I did the pot of pinto beans is because I had the dry beans on hand. I buy them in bulk from Sam's. You can also get them at Costco. And I had them on hand, and I needed to use them up. And I did not have a can of pinto or charro beans. So this is what I did, and it worked out just fine. So this dough is going to be a little tacky. It's sticking to your fingers a little bit. That is okay. As you kind of work it through the flour, it will be less sticky. So you're just going to work through that and knead it until it is at a place where you can roll it out. And again, this is enough for, I think it made 12 fry bread pieces. And I probably could have made them smaller and made even more. So I'm taking this tool that I have here. It's nothing fancy. It came in probably a pizza kit that my husband had. I don't know. It's plastic. It's not fancy at all, but it will cut this dough. So you see that I'm taking it, cutting it in half, cutting the half in half, cutting the halves in halves and halves, like you're just getting it down to the smallest pieces. And then I'm going to use a rolling pin to roll these out. Something I want is a rolling pin. I want one of those marble rolling pins. Those of you who are really good at baking and savvy and know all the ins and outs of baking, is there any reason why I would not want a marble rolling pin? I want one of the marble ones that does not have the handles on the ends, and it's just like it's handleless. I don't know how to say it other than that. Or one that is a higher quality, better quality wood, that's like a darker wood that doesn't have handles. Those of you that are really good at baking, tell me, what do I need to know about rolling pins, and why would I not want a marble one? Is there anything I need to know? All right, we're getting these as thin as possible. I have, since this video, I have made another version of fry bread and using a different recipe, and I did not do them as thin. Some of them say to get them really thin where they have holes in it, and I think having holes in it helps to keep it from bubbling up. But I really liked the way that this first batch turned out, and I liked how convenient it was that I didn't have to let the dough set for any period of time. So we're just working our way through this, rolling these out. You want to get as many of them rolled out as possible, because once you get your oil going, you don't want your oil to get too hot with nothing in it. So like in between, this is going to go pretty fast. Once you start browning them, it's going to go quickly, and you don't want your oil sitting there under the heat, especially say halfway through the cooking process where it's just sitting under the heat and it's getting too hot. So you want to be able to move quickly. getting your dough thinned out and ready to go into the oil ahead of time. I kind of learned that this first time going through all of this. So we are using vegetable oil in a cast iron skillet, and you want to do it over a medium heat. You don't want to do it too hot. That is really, really important. And you want to wait until your oil is hot before you add any of your dough to it. And you notice in that, so this is a pretty big cast iron skillet, but in this skillet, I probably only have about a quarter of an inch of oil in there. We're not deep frying them, okay? We're going to fry them on one side at a time. So I am putting in a little piece of dough, and that's going to help me know when my oil is ready. I've got this sped up pretty fast, so we are probably a minute into this oil heating up, okay? We want to test it because we don't want our dough just sitting in there waiting for the oil to get ready. All right, look at that. Look at how good that looks. So pretty. You want to make sure that you've got some tongs. That's going to help you do the flipping in here, and it's going to go pretty quickly. I will tell you, this first time doing it, I did get my dough a little too brown. So really it just needs to be a light golden brown color. I did go a little too dark, but they still tasted great. And I will also say that these are best when served hot. The smaller your fry bread is, the more that you can fit into the skillet. So like I said, I made this again a few nights ago, and I made them in a size where I could do 3 fry breads at a time. What I also like to do is take my plate that I'm gonna, or my platter that I'm gonna put them on, and I put paper towels on the bottom so that that will collect all of the oils that are coming off of the fry bread as it's kind of sitting there and getting to a temperature that you can eat. That really helps so that it's not just sitting in a pool of oil, because as you get these done, you're stacking them and you've got a nice little pile of them, and you don't want them just kind of all sitting in a bed of oil, right? So just watch your temperature. Have as many of the fry bread pieces rolled out so that it's ready to go quickly into the oil, so that your oil is not just sitting once it's come to temperature. And just pay attention to them and don't overcook them. And don't let your heat get too hot. And that's it. We're getting this going. Our beans are almost done. And then we just need to grate some cheese. Maybe I used some iceberg lettuce. I did have some that was already shredded from a previous meal that I made, but grab a head of iceberg lettuce. That's the cheapest, one of the cheapest ones you can get right now, and shred that up so that it can go on top of these. I had the rotisserie chicken to put on top, but you could also do some ground turkey or ground beef, or no meat at all. You don't have to have meat. Did you notice on that one, I'm kind of pulling it some more? You can pull it to thin it out even after you've rolled it with the rolling pin. So don't feel like you can't do some pulling on it, kind of like what you might do with pizza dough maybe. But we're getting this going, and I'm getting into a good little groove here and working my way through all the dough. All right, so I've cleaned up my workspace over here, and now we're going to grate some cheese. I buy the big, okay, I buy cheese in a block at Walmart, at HEB. I've done that. But the best price is to buy it in the 2-pound package block at Sam's, because you can get it for $5, and you pay the same price for half of the size at HEB or Walmart. So I just pull out what I need from the block and then keep the rest of it in a bag in the refrigerator, and we will go through. We eat quite a bit of cheese. So we don't just sit down and eat cheese, but we have it on tacos. We have it on, I make a lot of lunches with cheese, or a lot of dinners get topped like casseroles with cheese. So we're always going through cheese. And that block will last us a couple of weeks, and it does not mold. It does not go bad. So we're just going to grate up what we need, enough to go on top of our fry bread tacos, And then anything that is left, any of the cheese that's left, I'm grating it into this little, that's a vintage Pyrex container that has like a glass lid. Whatever's left, I can pop the lid on it and just store it in the fridge, and then we can pull more cheese out of that throughout the week if we're making a lunch that needs cheese, or we need a little bit added to our dinner. So I do find this is the most inexpensive way to buy cheese. I know that it is a little more work, but the more convenient something is, the more that you're going to pay for it. So if you're on a strict budget right now, grating your own cheese is worth the savings. All right, the Instant Pot has gone off now. We are releasing all of the pressure, and that takes about 2 minutes for all the pressure to come out of the Instant Pot. And then we have our chicken that I bought for under $5 at Sam's, and we've got our cheese. I've got some leftover lettuce, and we're gonna put all of this together to make these fry bread tacos. And actually, I really only needed about one breast worth of meat. So I cut the breast off and sliced it up, and that was enough. And then we were able to use the rest of the chicken for another recipe. And then, like I said, use the leftover skin and bones and put it in your slow cooker or on your stovetop and make some homemade chicken broth or chicken stock so that you don't have to buy that at the grocery store. All right, we're just gonna slice this up so that we've got pieces that can go on top of each taco and add some extra protein. And that's it. Super, super easy. And buying this rotisserie chicken is cheaper than buying, if all you have is a little bit of money and you need some chicken, this is enough chicken that you can stretch out for, quite a bit. And it's under $5, cheaper than buying, 3 or 4 chicken breasts for $13 right now at the grocery store. All right, so now I'm gonna make up some plates. There's the fry bread. Look at how delicious. I have heated up the chicken in the microwave on the plate because I had bought that rotisserie chicken the day before and it was in the fridge. And we're going to build our tacos. Are you ready?